track for sure, but kids were and are still eating junk food for lunch, except now they're required to get a fruit or vegetable that they likely won't even eat and just end up wasting in the trash. This food waste has even more negative connotations when there are low-income families involved. There were a few times when my lunch money on my school account would run out before I could remind my mom to refill it. When this happened in elementary school, there was this one really sweet lunch lady that would sometimes just let me have the meal anyway. Otherwise, the only options you could have was a plate of fruits and vegetables or some of the containers of sliced bread and little cups of peanut butter and jelly to make your own sandwich. Definitely not the worst options in the world, at least there was still something to eat. In middle and high school though, there was definitely a bit of a difference when I ran out of lunch money. There were a few times when I wasn't allowed to walk away from the lunch line with any food at all because I didn't have money to pay for it. And while I'm sure being a little hungry for the last half of the day didn't stunt my growth entirely, for low-income families this wasn't a sometimes occurrence but one that potentially happened every school day and could have a much bigger impact. There are programs within certain states and districts that offer reduced cost or completely free lunches for children that can't afford it otherwise. But this sometimes limits the amount of food a child is allowed to buy based on the amount of funding they receive to allocate per free lunch. A less satisfied kid is better than a hungry one, but you'd think there'd be a better, more effective option by this point. As for changes made to school lunch standards in recent years, government administration has scaled back some of the guidelines that Obamification required out of school lunches. Depending on a school's local agriculture and access to labor, among other things, some schools have a hard time meeting a requirement to serve only whole grains or large amounts of fruits and vegetables, so these are among the rules that have been lessened. Still no word on the regulation of mystery meat, though. Despite there being a lot of issues that continue on to this day in American school cafeterias, there's still some nostalgia from older generations that miss that specific taste of their favorite school lunch item. Copycat recipes are pretty easy to find across the internet, with rectangle cafeteria pizza being a popular one, though there are others for things like cakes and cookies too.